In a bid to steer the nation's economy out of the woods, in May 2016, the federal government of Nigeria did set up a presidential interagency committee on the Asset Management Company of Nigeria to add some muscles to the renewed debt recovery drive. Since the inauguration of this committee, what has been the current status of AMCON's recoveries in terms of achievements from inception to date, the total outstanding debt to be recovered, the value of assets, and also how can governments at various levels be made to honor their debt obligations to the corporations? It's question time. Welcome to the program. I'm Benga Ashuru. You may also join in this conversation by sending us your comments on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. Recently, Channels TV crew was at the AMCON's headquarters in Lagos. I had a chat with the managing director of AMCON, Mr. Ahmed Kuru. We began by asking what's AMCON's position on the sale of national assets. Join us in this exclusive interview.
Primarily, it is not our responsibility to get the nation out of recession, but it is secondarily everybody's responsibility. In Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, we superintend over quite a lot of businesses. And some of those businesses are businesses that are challenged over a period of time. And we believe that with concessions here and there, support here and there, we should be able to, support some of these businesses, to be able to face the challenge of the recession. Because majorly, one of the problems of recession is liquidity problem. You find that businesses don't have money, to carry out some of the programs, some of the expansion, how do I put it, some of the expansion initiatives that they have set out to achieve for 2017. Now, for us in AMCON, what we do now is to evaluate quite a lot of those businesses that we still feel that with a little support here and there, they should be able to, come out of their current state. So to that extent, we are also part of the effort to take our nation out of recession.
Around middle of last year, the federal government deliberated extensively on the sale of national assets. What's the position of AMCON on this?
Well, you see, it is a double-edged sword because usually when you try to sell assets during a recession period, you will be able to raise liquidity, but at the same time, you may not get the actual value of those assets. So, and I think government is also looking at that issue. What typically you will want to do under a recession period if you have some assets is to pledge the assets and raise liquidity so that when you are able to come out of the recession, you will be able to now pay back, the debt that you must have raised during the recession period. Because selling assets also during recession is also a challenge because you will not be able to get, the right price for those assets. But you can pledge those assets and raise debt so that you can, pay yourself out of recession.
Now, let's look at another challenge. Getting investors to buy some of these assets in the face of a very volatile forex factor, the foreign exchange. How does AMCON intend to manage this economic twist of fate? Okay,
interestingly, we are getting quite a lot of, proposals and requests from people that are interested in investing in Nigeria. Usually, when your currency is a bit weak, it is also a motivation, for foreign investors to come in. So what we are doing currently is to try and encourage some of these foreign investors to come into Nigeria. We are talking to quite a few of them. I've had several meetings both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. They've shown quite a lot of interest, particularly, some of these organizations have money for distress buy, and they've shown interest. And they're interested in coming to Nigeria. I don't think the problem of foreign exchange can be a major issue for those people that have a long-term view, investing in Nigeria. For those that are just interested in coming to take advantage of exchange fluctuation and go, maybe this is not an attraction for them. For those that are interested in taking a long-term view in Nigeria, this is the right time to come into Nigeria. And I think quite a lot of them that we've had engagement with, they've shown interest, and we've seen traction, and we are hopeful that 2017 is going to be a good year for investment in Nigeria as it relates to AMCON assets.
I wonder how much of this you've heard so far from commentaries. Some investors see AMCON as an investment albatross in Nigeria. So how do you respond when you hear such allegation?
Generally, in the public, people assume that all the businesses that are in AMCON should be performing. And it's not possible, because if you know, commercial banks' revenue, more than 60% is derived from income earnings, which means interest that they earn from giving loans to customers. Now, if banks could voluntarily surrender their loans to AMCON, it tells you that they must have seen that there is no future in some of these businesses. And for AMCON, part of our mandate is we try and support the business. If you can't support the businesses, you have to forfeit the assets, and then we dispose the assets to willing, investors that are ready to bring in liquidity and also bring in fresh idea to run those businesses. If you asked anybody to tell you which of the businesses did we kill, then one will be able to specifically tell you the history around those businesses. Then you will see that AMCON must have made so much effort to support those businesses. And unfortunately, because the fundamental problem that was there before still exists, and those businesses could not come out of their situations.
So how do you tackle the trend of investors that come into the economy with take loan with bad intentions? We've had instances where people take loan and they cunningly get out of that business, heaping the burden on AMCON. How have you been able to tackle this trend?
The approach at the time that AMCON was set up